Hi, everybody, and welcome to, I think this is the 20th episode of Sultans
19.
Swap.
19.
18? 19. All
Yep.
right, we're getting close. We'll have to have a 20th anniversary special, but this is our 19th episode. I'm Brian Johnson, joined as always by Mr. Edwin Anderson. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Miss you guys. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
man. It has been a while. I like the Ripken hands behind you.
Yes, thank you.
They're very nice. I'm sure we'll talk about those in a minute because I got a few questions about those.
Oh, wow,
And
okay.
from the Sports Card Investor Mansion, Mr. John Anthony. How are you, sir?
I'm good, gentlemen. I'm good. Thank you for asking.
I like the Eagles flat brim today.
Getting ready, man.
Getting ready for football season.
Getting ready.
Yeah, but they're not going to be any good though.
Why not? Listen to you. Like it's sort of a question that you're saying tongue in cheek, but it's a statement at the same time. No, they can be decent, dude. I'm telling you right now, their defense is going to really surprise a lot of people. I'm telling you.
The hope that springs in Eagles fans is somewhere
Smart. Listen, top 10 defense this year.
right, but are you going to score any points?
I don't know. I'm just worried about the defense. If they can stop people, we got a chance, man.
Well,
Maybe
when
we'll
you're
go back to like '90s football with the Steelers, like just grind it out,
just
hand the ball
grind it
off.
out, man. Hey, whatever works. Edwin, you're a Cowboy fan. I think we talked about this before.
I am a Cowboys fan. I'm still focused on baseball, though, man, because it's a good time to be an O's fan.
It is a good time to be an O's
They're
fan.
doing good.
It is a good. I was going to say the hope that springs in Eagles fans like John there is the same hope that springs in like Cubs fans. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is our year. Like, every year is our year. And then it never really works out. And I
Yep, and then
fear
like
that, yeah.
6 games in, when Bradford's hurt and Carson Wentz is in, and we can't win a game, we're like, next year's the year. We're ready for next year.
Yes. Yeah. It's
That's us.
pretty much the same thing. Now, John, I know we've probably touched on it a little bit before, but are you a Phillies fan?
I like the Phillies, but the Braves are my favorite team.
The
I
Braves.
root for the Phillies. The Braves are my favorite team.
Is
I
that
was a
just from,
bandwagon as a kid, man. I hopped on the bandwagon. I love the Braves. I just loved watching them play. I'll tell you what got me, man. What got me was watching TBS
oh,
from
yeah.
like 7 o'clock on, and just how passionate those fans were in the 90s, and with the chop and how just the late inning comebacks, game after game. That's what hooked me, man. I'll tell you the truth, because it was so brutal to watch the Phillies. Like as a kid, as like a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kid. How can you root for the Phillies? I know it's your home team, but I'm watching Juan Samuel and Tommy Herr trying to turn double plays or like try to actually hit the baseball, and it's just like it sucked. It was so bad.
Yeah, I watched a lot of Braves too because they Skip Carey, Don Sutton, I believe, were your announcers, and they were just on all the time on TBS. But as a Pirates fan, I loathe the Braves.
Sid Bream, man. Sid Bream.
Dude, that stupid freaking mustache. I hate it so much. Edwin, down your way, they're all Braves fans, I'd imagine, right?
Yeah, well, down here in Florida, it's really a mixed match, to be honest with you, because people are from all over. There's no, 9 times out of 10 when you're talking to somebody, nobody's like, I'm from Florida. It's like, I'm from here, I'm from there. It's so transient. So there's a lot of fans, and it's funny, going to games because depending on which team is playing the Marlins, they'll outpack this, the event basically just on the opposing team fans.
Did you guys see the Marlins giveaway? I don't know if you heard about that, but it
was who was the bobblehead? Don't tell me. It was pretty funny though.
No, I'm not talking about the bobblehead. I'm talking about how since Giancarlo Stanton was in the home run derby, right?
Oh yeah, the tickets.
They put out the promotion that said if Giancarlo Stanton wins the home run derby, for every home run he hits, they'll take a percentage point off your tickets for like weeks on end, right? So he ended up hitting like 61 bombs, and they were like, yeah, we'll do 25% off for one day. Like, it sounds like such a Marlins thing to do.
Awesome.
Which is crazy because they're going to give away more tickets than, just to put butts in the seat there.
Probably, man. The Marlins are actually not bad.
Yeah.
They have a chance. It feels like everyone has a chance, though.
A couple of their players got some pretty healthy followings, too.
Their coach, Bonds, probably has one of the bigger followings.
It's true.
But anyway, we're supposed to talk about baseball cards and Nationals coming up. Edwin, I know I talked to you a little bit about this. You may not make it up, but Johnny, you're right there, buddy.
I'll make an appearance. On my Facebook, I will be seen at the National.
You will be seen at the National. What is the plan?
The plan is probably Thursday night through the weekend.
So, craps table? What's happening?
Likelihood is strong to quite strong, as they would say in the movie.
So, who from your little Philadelphia corridor is headed down there with you? Tony Bowman?
He's on the deck right now. He's on the deck right now, fixing a couple of boards. He did an attic for us yesterday. Yeah, he'll be coming down.
Yep. It's unbelievable.
His cousin Ken DeMarco will probably make it down there. Eamon will go down. Just here locally, I'm not sure who else, but yeah, it should be fun. Should be fun.
So, Edwin, I know you said you're not going. Have you been to a National before?
No. I wanted to go to the one last year, but I didn't get a chance either. I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I'm gonna try to make it if I can. It's not that far away, and I got some other family stuff to attend to right before then. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. But
John,
no, I've never been before. I'm looking forward to going to one. I want to go to If I don't make it this one, I'm definitely making it to the next one.
Well, I've never been to one either. So, John, have you been to a National before?
No.
No,
I mean,
so none of us have ever been to one.
As you guys know, my problem is my daughter and getting somebody to watch her. So that's why even setting up there is just totally out of the question for me.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, man. I was telling Ed. What's that?
How long are you going?
I'm just one day. I'm just going to drive down on Saturday and come back. I feel like it's better for my marriage and probably better for my credit card if I just do a one-day, not overnight trip.
So did the National retain you as not a signer, but just to have a booth so everyone that it does cards on Facebook can come up and shake your hand? Since you have 6,428 friends and you're probably in more groups than that.
That is a good idea, but I got to be honest. I really mean this. One of the reasons I'm going to National is just to meet people. I mean, because that's the coolest part about the online community, man, is you get to meet and talk to all these different people. And, to actually see someone in face-to-face would be great. I mean, I don't want to be like Pokemon Go guy that just has to, wander around. And I can't, I need some human interaction, man. It has to happen. Because, dude, I'm like you. I got 2 kids, and I don't get out that much anymore. And but the reason I say I don't get much, that's why I'm only going for one day, because I kind of feel I'm like a kid in high school that wasn't allowed to do anything and then goes to college. And it's just the wild, man. So if I get out to Atlantic City for one day and I get around some of these scumbags I'm friends with on Facebook, who the hell knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Because I can be a follower. It's no problem, man. Someone. What I tell my wife all the time, sober Brian, I don't really get the strip club, man. I don't know why you would go there. But drunk Brian freaking loves the strip club. I feel like it's the greatest thing ever, man. I feel so fired up and so into it. After 6 beers, someone says strip club, I'm like, all right, let's go. Call the Uber. Let's make it happen. So I don't know, man. I think Atlantic City for 5 days in a row would be really bad. But I'm sure there's people who do it. I just think that's a lot of senses going off.
If you don't have self-control, man, it can do some damage on you.
Yeah, maybe I sold it too much. I mean, I do have self-control, but I also am very easily persuaded to do really fun things. It just always seems like a good idea.
That's all by fucking Mantle rookies. Come on, Brian. It's a good time.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean. Like I said, I love my wife dearly, and she's gonna kill me if I come back with the 1951 Bowman graded set. That would be bad for everybody. But the thing I am looking forward to at National, and I'm imagining, is you could probably get whatever you want. So I have a lot of stuff to check off the list. that I'm trying to put together. I'd imagine there's going to be quite a bit of Cal Ripken stuff there, Edwin. What do you need? Like, what is on your checklist? What is left, man?
That's the beauty of it, with the online community. We met so many people, and so many people know that I love Cal Ripken stuff. So when there's like 50 people there that know I like Ripken stuff, pretty much like nothing goes unscathed. It's like a I'm living vicariously through like 50 other people.
They're just sending you messages.
They will send me pictures and messages and say, hey, we saw what you're looking for. Here it is. Here's the guy's number. Let's if you need some help, let me know.
Yeah, I do like that part too. John, are you looking to pick up anything while you're there?
Maybe. I'm just gonna try to be more like you and just be a social butterfly.
Oh God, playing the politician at National. I like it, buddy. I really do.
Get some business cards with your breaker page on it.
Nah. I'll probably walk around with a beer, my sports card investor shirt that Dave Reinhardt made me.
That's what I was gonna say. You have to wear the shirt.
I wish I could get a hat like this material that says sports card investors on it, not bend the brim and walk around with that on.
That should be awesome.
I should make some Sultan of Swap T-shirts and pass them out.
Yeah.
There you go. Get a little going. I mean, the online community has certainly added a lot to the hobby. There's no doubt about it. So I think that's the cool part about Nationals is it's like the one thing where a lot of people that you normally interact with are going to show up. I don't know if Atlantic City is particularly the best venue. I can see a lot of people losing their baseball card money at the casino and then having to sell off all of their nice cards to get more money to go back to the casino. I can see that as a real possibility.
But the other way around, the possibility, let's be honest with you, all baseball card collectors are gamblers in some fashion. So the possibility of winning a bunch of money to be able to go and throw at baseball cards, allures a lot of people.
Actually, it'd probably be a great idea just to go there and sit like as close to the show exit as you can, with just a showcase full of $100 bills saying we do loans.
Right. Right. Yeah. Just like a makeshift pawn shop, right?
Yep. It's probably a great idea.
Someone has like a Trout rookie, 9.5. You give them you give them $2,000, they give you the card.
I wouldn't pay them full market value. No,
I get it, not full market value. I'm just saying,
sure,
generic terms. Maybe what percentage do you want to go here, John?
I don't know. I mean, the pawn shop across from the Taj Mahal that waffled me back in the day. I don't know what percent they were paying at that time, but I can tell you it wasn't anywhere near market value.
Edwin, you're like me. You have to know the more to this story, right?
Yeah, this sounds pretty interesting.
Now, come on, we're talking about baseball cards. I'm not talking about pawn shops and the Taj Mahal.
No, come on.
Don't get me wired up right now.
How can you do that? How can you lead in with getting waffled at a pawn shop?
Next time. It's next time. Come on, we're talking about baseball cards. I got a question for you, Mr. Punctuation. Could everybody? I'm the only one that doesn't do this. Okay. I need to understand why people call it Nationals. It's singular. I'm going to the National Card Convention. You don't say I'm going to the Nationals Card Convention. I'm going to the National Card Convention.
Can't you even take the out?
Okay, I'm going
to National.
Why can't we just be like every other hobby and call it like CardCon or something?
Yeah, but
I don't know about CardCon.
It's
like when someone says,
"I'm not going." They don't have conventions up and down the boardwalk. It's in one location. I'm going to the National. End of story. That's where I'm going. I'm not going to National.
When someone says, "I'm going to the Walmart."
I'm going to Walmart. Singular. They don't say I'm going to Walmart's.
Hey, but they say the Walmart.
Where are you going today? I'm going to Walmart's. Walmart's. Where are you going to 5 or 6?
The things that bother you are so different than so many.
I'm just curious because for years I thought I'm the one that's wrong. I can't be wrong here. It's singular. It's National.
The National.
Go to the National. I'm not going to Nationals.
It does need a better name. I don't know about CardCon.
Go to National. I like it.
I think we should put this up on our web.
Well,
On our
it's called the
webpage.
National Card Collectors Convention, right? Or
Yeah, let's think of a better name for it and see if we can get people to like make suggestions.
card convention. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
let's
I don't
talk
know,
cards.
John. How am
Let's
I
talk
supposed to
cards.
answer that question? How am I supposed to get into that person's mind? I have no idea.
I don't know if we started calling it nationals. I mean, it's a singular event held in one location. It's an event held in one location in one place. It's not, when you go to the national, you're going to one location. What are you going to 5 casinos? You going to the Borgata? What are you doing?
Well, the Nationals is at the
Nationals. Yeah. Oh my God.
it's at
All right,
the-
look, let's talk Topps Tribute. I will
Okay,
say
no,
this.
dude, I do want to talk about Topps Tribute. I do.
Huge applause to Topps for this one. Huge applause. They did a terrific job. Really bang-up job with this one. Cards are absolutely gorgeous. I love the chrome finish. The one thing I will say, I think there's a handful of people that don't understand the shorter checklists. What I mean by that is they'll look at a checklist and they'll see that their team only has 3 or 4 names on it, and they're like, well, this team doesn't have any hits. Well, it's a product where every team has 3 or 4 hits, so relatively speaking, it doesn't change much. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. I want to ask you a question about that, though. How many Pirates have you pulled? Like legitimate cards, not the base stuff. Like legitimate cards. How many Pirates have you pulled out of there?
I mean, offhand, I don't know off the top of my head, but I know
just saying, roughly.
I don't know. I know I've hit Pirates for sure, but they're also not one of the more expensive teams. But my point
No,
is,
they're one of the cheap ones. That's what I mean. Like, because I looked at getting in break, and I went through the checklist, and it was like you said. I only found 2 names, Marte and
McCutchen.
What's that?
McCutchen.
I don't even remember if McCutchen had it. He certainly didn't have any autographs.
No, he's got a relic. I pulled one of those last night.
And I was like, I don't know, man. That seems like not enough to, you know what I mean? It feels like that checklist to me is really unevenly distributed. Like you're gonna hit the Cubs, man.
I haven't hit one Cubs auto in 10 cases.
Wow. Because it's just loaded up. Like when you look at the checklist, it's just loaded up with Cubs.
But I mean, hold on. I disagree though. I mean, it's loaded up in the terms of maybe the quantity, but Topps never tells us what the print runs are. In other words, like with Panini, there's times with Panini when I do my pick your team prices where I can go through and calculate the number of cards less the base version that might not be numbered.
Right.
Count the number of total hits that are in float. Topps never releases that information. But what I'm saying is, if the Cubs, they might be the outlier. They might have 6 names on the checklist. The Dodgers might have 5 or 6 or 7 names on the checklist. Outside of like 2 or 3 teams, and outside of the bottom 2 or 3 teams, everybody else has between, like, say, I don't know, 3 and 5 names, 3 and 4, right. 2 and 4. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So just because a team only has 2 or 3 doesn't mean that they don't have many hits in the product.
All right. Edwin, you want to weigh in here?
No, I mean, I get it. I don't really have much more to add, but I understand that, how they do it. So.
Well, the one, John, we can kind of come back, but the one story that's kind of relevant that I read was that Topps is apparently, like, they're putting out their products, and they'll, like, run out of a uniform for a player relic, and instead of doing, like, the out of 5, out of 20, out of 25, out of 99, out of 50, whatever, they just do, like, 1, like, out of 99, and they don't have, like, the other numbers. Have you heard anything about that?
I have not.
But apparently, the one that I'm referring to specifically was the Topps Heritage from this year, Kyle Schwarber. His uniform relic, the only one they did was out of 99, and they didn't do any of the other versions. So then, of course, his was less abundant than a lot of the other players. So, like, if you had the out of 99, you were selling on eBay, it was going for like $100 because they just didn't have as many, and But Topps didn't release that information either. It got found out like through an email with Topps, and they like responded to the guy, and then of course it went online and it became a whole thing. But the reason I wonder that is, Tribute the previous year is the one that had the issues with the smudging, right?
I believe 2 years in a row it's been recalled, if I'm not mistaken.
So how do we actually know, or like how do you know what is out there and what's not?
You don't know. You don't know. I mean, I know a couple of dealers that have cases of 15 Tribute, but why would you want to buy anything from 15 Tribute that's sealed? Because you don't know what the cards are going to look like. There's a better than 50-50 chance there's an issue.
Now, how did they redistribute those cards? Because I saw some came back in like cases with like seals on them, and I thought those were obviously the ones that they recalled. That like were okay.
They did a product at the end of the year. It was like a Tribute special edition, and that got screwed up too because the proper number of cards wasn't even in the pack. The whole product was screwed up. The entire line was screwed up last year. So my guess is, I don't know for certain, but if I had to make an educated guess, I would say the ones that came out properly were redistributed in the Tribute Special Edition, but I don't know that for certain.
So this year's Tribute, no issues?
Gorgeous, man. They did a chrome finish on these cards. For anybody that, and there's not a lot of people that can afford $260 or $70 or whatever it is a box. The base set.
What box?
It's 6 packs, though. It's 6 packs.
Okay, I almost had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's 6 packs. You get 6 hits.
So you get 6 hits for $270.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's kind of like a museum configuration.
Exactly. Except these are all on cards. Although I did see someone sent me an eBay link to a Griffey that was a sticker.
Huh.
I don't know if that was like, who knows? It could have been anything. It could have been somebody just on eBay fishing or finding a stock photo somewhere. I don't know. But I know this, there was a huge advertisement from Topps that these were all on cards. I mean, look at these cards. Seriously. I mean, that's a really nice looking card. Like, great eye appeal. I don't know if you can see it, but these cards are gorgeous. They did a really nice job with them. Yeah, I love them.
Any Ripkins in there?
No Ripkins. We didn't hit any Ripkins. Like, even the patches. Look at this. I mean, I'll hold this one up, too. Check out this patch. Check out how nice this is. It's Warren Spahn, man. It's an awesome-looking patch. They did a nice job with it.
Yeah, the patches on the oldie-timer relics, that they don't come up that often, so that's a really nice addition. Also, you said they were doing the authentication stickers on these?
Yeah, they did one subset where it has the authentication sticker. And it's the only thing that I guess my only issue with that would be is, so it's a horizontal card and they're on the left side of the card. Man, they could have done some on-card autographs on the other portion of that card, which would have been really terrific. They may have. I just haven't pulled any.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, talking about checklists, and I'll keep it with Tribute. My other issue, kind of looking through Tribute, is, man, and this isn't just about Tribute. This is about a lot of cards that have came out lately. Is I feel like the checklist just never changes.
I couldn't agree with you more, Brian. But
I just feel like in every one that comes out, I'm like, oh, great, Gregory Polanco. There's another one. Like,
but
in all reality, I mean, Polanco's a good player. I'm just saying, my God. And the same thing for the older guys.
In all reality, though, I guess what I would do if I were Topps was I wouldn't make it the same checklist. In other words, McCutcheon would be in products A, B, and C. Marte would be in D, E, and F. Polanco would be in, X, Y, and Z. And
right.
that way people like you that buy Pirates, not just one particular player like Edwin.
Right.
Now you're spending money across Topps' entire product line.
Right.
Because there's probably a lot of people like you that are like, okay, if I look at, say, I don't know, Tier 1 and Tribute, they're very similar. Tier 1 has bat knobs and bat barrels, where Tribute doesn't. But point is, there's a lot of on-card autographs. There's nice patches. A guy like you or somebody who doesn't need an autograph out of every product may only support one of the product lines.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm kind of driving at. Is like I'm at a point, and I was kind of joking with Edwin earlier, like, what do you need left, man? Like, what do you got off your list? But I'm at a point where, like, I'm becoming not disinterested. Like, I still love to watch breaks, and, you know, I'll go to shows and buy cards and everything else. But, damn, dude, like, how many of the same thing do I need? Like, you know, you can only have so many Starling Marte autographs before you're like, I think I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good. I don't need a tribute autograph. I'm fine.
So there's only one of two issues. There's only one or two solutions, and those two solutions are they produce less product, which they can't because they're also handcuffed by Major League Baseball. It says you have to produce a minimum of this many products, or the second option is to what we just discussed, like
all right, spread it out.
Yeah. So that you remain interested, so that there's not, you know, a McCutchen autograph in 15 Topps products this year. There's only a McCutchen autograph in 4 products this year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it also I think that would help with the value because it keeps the total number of that player's autographs controlled.
Well, that's what I mean because this is a popular topic on a lot of the message boards, but it's like Chris Bryant autographs are still they're still even at the lowest amount they're still like $80, and on the high end, you know, the sky's the limit. But like I don't get it. Like he's 24.
It's the market, man. It's the market. It's the market.
He's gonna sign for like 100 years.
Look at Moncada. This is the first time I've ever seen a prospect sell at these levels upon release. It was insane, the Red Sox prospect. Yeah. Now, look, he could be a great player, could be terrific. He's probably going to be terrific, okay? But he's at least 1 year away, and this is just his first autograph. He is going to do the cards in, say, 2018 what Chris Bryant did in 2015. It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like the value is not relative to the amount that's out there.
But Brian, don't forget, it's also a lot of it has to do with razzing, I think, too. I mean, razzing has changed the pricing of cards tremendously.
Really, that's interesting.
Oh my God, think about it.
No, I've never talked about it or heard that theory before.
The gap between... Okay, so let's talk about, say, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, a dealer at a show. I would set up at shows. I would have people in... You know, everyone has a budget, and that budget is relative to each person's income. A guy might only have $20 to spend at a show, but he's going to go to the show every week and spend $20 or $25 or $50 or $100 or $1,000. It doesn't matter. But that $20 and $25 guy was going through the quarter box, the 3 for $1, the dollar box, the discount relic and auto box. I mean, this was a normal occurrence. It happened all the time. Now that guy with $20 and $25, the same with razzing. Think about razzing when I first met you. You were buying it. You would buy into autograph lots or a 5-star autograph lot or triple threads for $2 and $3 and $4 and $5 a spot. Those cards don't sell anymore. You can't fill those cards anymore. Nobody's buying, autograph, a $20 autograph anymore. So that guy with the $20 budget is spending that money in razzes where he might be able to get a $100 card because the hobby is 90% gambling now. End of story. It is what it is. It's fine, but that's why we've seen the bottom drop out of the low-end market, just completely fall out. Think about it. How many
But that's manipulated the market prices?
What's that?
How was that manipulated the market prices, though? That's what That's where I thought you were going.
Demand, because there's now a higher demand for the high-end cards. The higher-end cards are filling so fast. A $200 card might be $210 tomorrow. and 220 a week from now, and 250 a week from then. And there's not as many floating around on eBay because they're all circulating between these Facebook groups.
Yeah. Edwin, you've watched a lot of razzing, man. Where are you on this? Should I get a tinfoil hat, or is he on to something here?
I don't know. I think if I hear what John's saying, it's almost like the demand of the higher end stuff has made the market for the lower end stuff shrink up basically. But I don't know. I think that could just be the nature of those groups. I mean, everybody has it started off kind of like the pawn shop type of cards, and then everybody kind of refined their taste a little bit for the more higher end stuff. But I think that there's possibly still the same demand for that lower end stuff out there. It's just there's not a lot of conduits for people to get that filled. Like if there was rooms dedicated to like 20 and under Raz or something like that, I think there's a fair amount that would be interested in that. Getting into Razes for $1 and $2 is a little bit easier to swallow than $200 a spot.
No, it's funny you say that because my bread and butter is the $2 to $4 Raz.
Oh,
I really mean that. God. Dude, I'm telling you, you know that.
Oh my God.
Those are my favorite ones. I buy into more $2 to $5 a spot Razes by 100 miles than I ever do into the bigger stuff.
4.8 all the time, Brian Johnson.
The numbers don't really matter, but I did like 4.8. I mean, if I had first dibs, I mean, you get to pick. That's what I was going to take, like just for fun. But my point being is that it's interesting. I mean, it's really a taste for everyone. I do see what you're saying, John. I think what happened is that people are always going to have an affinity for nicer things, and a $200 card is obviously a lot more attractive than a $20 card. And yeah, I have to put more money in to try and get that higher money card, but I think you're right. I think that has kept. So you're not really seeing much of a healthy middle anymore. You're seeing the Harpers, the Machados, the Bryants, Mantle, Mays, Aaron, and all those guys that are still going in that 200 on up range into the thousands, and then your middle tier guys, what I would consider your middle tier guys, like your Adam. Like I always think of Adam Jones for an O's fan. There, Edwin is a good example of like a middle of the road guy. Like a guy who doesn't have a huge following like Machado in the card collecting industry, but he's beloved in Baltimore. People love him. But consistently, man, I see his stuff goes dirt cheap.
Right, and my point is a nice 5-star or tier 1 or triple threads Adam Jones autograph, like 10 spots, $250 a piece. I mean, it might take a day to fill. It might take 2 days to fill. It might not fill. But yesterday I'm in a group with, I think there was 80 guys in the group, 165 a spot for a prospect, a guy that's in like AA. I'm telling you, it filled in 4 minutes. There were guys fighting over spots. Do you have another one to line?
Right.
Like, you see my point? So it's like, you have a guy like Adam Jones, one of the better players in Major League Baseball.
Adam Jones.
People don't like the Orioles. Either no one likes the Orioles, no one likes Adam Jones, or it proves my point that it's just mostly gambling. Go to the craps. Go play blackjack. You have better odds.
I don't know. I think part of it too is the players that have spent more like most of their career with one team have bigger followings than some of the guys that have popped around a little bit. I'll give you an example. Like looking back a couple of years to like the Shelby Miller stuff, since you like the Braves and whatnot. His stuff was really hot at one point, and then when he switched teams, people stopped collecting it. And then they wanted it just in like the Brave stuff, and then I mean his stuff changed quite a bit. And when those players pop around teams, I think it almost kind of cuts off a little bit of their fan base.
Well, another example of that might be Will Myers. Will Myers, having been Rookie of the Year for Tampa Bay, initially as a prospect, I mean, his stuff sold for a good bit. He got hurt. It went down. Then he went to the Padres, and I thought I might as well just put his stuff in the dollar bin. And now the guy's having an MVP season, and it's made a little bit of a bump.
And his stuff doesn't sell.
His stuff doesn't. Well, he played for the Rays and he plays for San Diego. He might win NL MVP, and I still don't think his stuff will sell that much. But my point being is, like, when you're buying a prospect for $165 a spot, I use Will Myers as a cautionary tale, not because he flamed out, but because he's a really good player that just nobody collects.
Right. So check this out. So 2010 Bowman Chrome, the 2010 Bowman issued cards were very condition sensitive for a number of reasons. Surface was just horrifying. You can buy BGS 9s, okay, 9, which is considered a mint card, right? It's considered mint. That's what it says on the card, mint. Autographs, $26, $27. Those are the last two sales.
For Will Myers?
Yes. 9.5.
But is that more of people buying to finish that set off, or is it Will Myers collectors out there buying those cards, or whatever his unique?
Why would you buy Alex Bregman when you could buy Will Myers? Why would you buy?
Well, I'm trying to say, if somebody's putting together that whole set, they're
7 years old though. Nobody's buying. Nobody's. I still don't think many are working on that set. I mean, maybe a small percentage, but why would you buy a prospect that's unproven when you could buy this guy that just he mashes every night? It doesn't matter who he is, and if he can stay healthy, this is what everyone thought he could do.
Right. That's why I bring up Will Myers as the best example. And, dude, I don't bash anyone who prospects. I mean, I think, particularly if you're on the seller end, it's like the greatest thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
You just go out and buy cases of Bowman Chrome and send them to BGS. And
it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I'm not bashing. I'm just saying, it's like, for me, I'd rather buy. Honestly, I think Will Myers is a better bet than Moncada. Moncada, what are his base autos? I don't know, $200. What does this guy have to do to go to $400? What does Will Myers have to do to go to $50? That's the way I look at it. Like, it's probably a lot easier for Myers to go to 50 than Moncada to go to 400, and you made the same ROI.
Yeah. Well, there are some prospects that I know you like, and one of them is Josh Bell.
and still nobody even cares about this guy. They don't even know he's breathing. The guy hit a ball out of the stadium.
He plays for the Pirates.
Yeah, but here's my point. Like 7 years ago, okay, do you even know there's a thing called the Baseball America Hot List, okay?
Right, sure.
Okay. I'm telling you, for the better part of the last 10 years, like 7 of the last 10 years, when the BA Hot List came out, it was like a barrage on eBay. People were like scouring to hit buy it nows, like of guys that like might have been on there cheap. And then there's the other half of the people that are getting all their stuff listed. And the guys that just casually read are like, oh, this guy's on the hot list. Let me buy it. I'll never forget Michael Fulmer. I pulled a red, non-auto, out of 2011 draft, I think it was. And he was stinking, but he was on the hot list one week. Boom, huge sale, sold right away, like first day. I mean, a guy would hit a home run in the minors and their stuff was doubling. Just saying, today it takes a lot more for prices to increase.
Well, I think we've kind of touched on this a little bit before. I feel like, particularly with prospects, they come out high now and they stay high.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of how it works. I mean, with the few exceptions of the guys who are just like off the map, your Trouts and players like that. I always think the best example, and I know it's not baseball, is Tom Brady. Like Tom Brady stuff, you could pick up Tom Brady stuff for next to nothing. And now, dude, I'm serious. I've seen like his, I think it was a BGS 8.5 with a 10 auto of his playoff ticket go for like $7,500.
It's wild, man.
It's insane.
But dude, Trout too. Trout was a $5 autograph when he came out. Maybe not in our market because he's a Jersey guy, but generally speaking, his base auto was $5-10 for a while, long while, decent while.
Yeah, but I guess that's the gambling part, and that's why people take it. Dude, I have boxes and boxes and boxes of prospect autos. I got to go through them because I don't even know who's good and who's not. I always assume that 9 out of 10 of them are working at CVS, though, getting my prescription filled.
Most
and,
likely.
Maybe 1 out of 10 is actually in the major leagues, and maybe like 1 out of 100 became an all-star. and then 1 out of 500 actually made an impact on the hobby. So you just end up with like these huge boxes of autographs that you have to go through. It's insane.
The really cool part about that is years ago, at some point, dude, when the BA hot list would come out, you're rifling through those boxes to see who you have, because you had that 48-hour window when they would take a huge spike, and that's what I loved about prospecting, man, was opening cases and cases and never selling anything, because all you needed these low-end guys to do, forget about getting called up. Getting called up was a whole different animal. But if somebody hit a home run in the minors or they were on the BA hot list, man, it was like Christmas. Every Friday was like Christmas.
Edwin, do you have prospect boxes, buddy?
I have, I get into the Bowman draft and all that stuff. So mostly boxes of Orioles, prospects, but I do have them the same way. But my thing is, I put them on the shelf, and I'll go through them every once in a while, and who knows, if they're turn out to be somebody 10 years from now, then I'll find them.
I do occasionally like going through like my older boxes of cards just for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's always interesting to me, like when a product comes out based on the way you case cards. Like we all have our tier system. Like this deserves a magnetic. This gets a hard sleeve. This gets a penny sleeve, and this gets thrown in the corner, and whatever. And then you go back and you're like, wow, I had Rocco Baldelli in a magnetic, and I had Yadier Molina over here in the corner just hanging out.
And I have Yan Gomes in the Christmas tree.
Yan Gomes in the Christmas tree. And then it turns out, dude, I wanted to tell you this. I'm glad you brought it up. I actually put Yan Gomes on my fantasy team because he's Yan Gomes. Like, he hasn't played any games for me yet, but I picked him up and said, I have to pick up Yan Gomes just so I have him.
Let's talk about Yan Gomes, who was 1 per box. It was a guarantee. Let's look at Yan Gomes' stat line year to date. He's hitting a whopping 162 with 8 homers, 32 RBIs, and 69 strikeouts. His strikeouts are almost that of his average. In fact, could you imagine if this guy struck out more times than his average was? Like if he struck out 180 times and his average was like 160, that would be awesome.
Well, I know he did dip below 200 for a good bit, but he has good pop.
Yeah, he's got good pop. Guy's batting 9th for the Indians today. He's batting 160. He's got good pop. I love it. Johnson would be that realtor. You walk up to a house. The whole house is boarded up. There's no grass. There's a boulder in the middle of the driveway, and he says, yeah, but the aesthetics of this neighborhood are really terrific. I'm telling you, it's on the up and coming.
Well, here's the thing. You should buy that house, and the reason you should buy that house is because you do not want the nicest house in the neighborhood. You want the least nice house in the nicest neighborhood. That is how you get the most bang for your buck, sir. Sure. So I might try and sell you that Yan Gomes house.
I love it. Listen, I got a really interesting topic I thought about. So somebody in the Facebook community that we all know has just recently changed what they PC. And the guy messaged me the other day, and he said, hey, do you have any of this player? And I wanted to talk about when do you think it's too late to start a PC on a modern player? In other words...
Because this is Ethan Lamb starting collecting Machado.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
So it's no, and I say that because this guy's had cards. He's been in the pros for how many years? Like 4 years?
Yeah.
But he's got cards that are 7 years old and 8 years old. So,
right.
It's just a cool topic for discussion, I think. So do you start collecting, do you start trying to super collect the guy from now? Do you try going back at older stuff? I don't know. I guess everybody would have their own thing. I just thought it would be cool to hear from folks, either on our site or wherever. What would you start going after if you were starting a new PC of a modern player?
Well, when you're a super collector, so I think there's a good area for you because you obviously didn't start collecting Cal Ripken in 1982.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of, I did, well, not in 1982, but I did early on. But
right. You know what I mean?
I know a lot of super collectors, and I've met a lot of people in the same thing, and I guess it's never too late to become a collector. As long as you kind of have reasonable expectations about what you're getting into. But most people will target the most obscure stuff first. You know what I mean? And that way they get it out the way, because that's the stuff that's going to continuously go up in price, whether that's the players like minor league cards, or whether that's the rookie card, or that random, cognac, diamond encrusted, whatever of 10 card that it's hard to get hands on. But whatever it is, they go after the rare stuff first, so they knock it out the way, and then everything else is easy pickings. So you got to go in strong.
Well, no, it's funny because as this applies to me, I kind of posted about this. I'm trying to put together a set now, and funny enough, I did the opposite, where I kind of just picked up all the more prevalent stuff first. And part of the reason I did that is because the more rare cards, they hardly ever come up, and when they do come up, they're pretty. There's a pretty high number of people interested in them. But the reason I picked up the more commonplace stuff first was because I wanted to keep it going, because I know if I get 8 of the 12 cards or whatever that I need, like, it'll keep me motivated to get those other 4. To circle back kind of to John, your original question, and that one specifically, I do think it's a really bad time to start collecting Machado, honestly. Like, if you like Machado and you want to collect him, that's great, and that's why I think Edwin's point about having reasonable expectations is relative, because, I mean, Machado cards might go up. I mean, he might win MVP, the O's might win the World Series. We could see Edwin's head explode if the
cards are going to go up. I think it's a pretty safe bet. I mean,
Well, I think they may, but dude, his stuff is already.
His fan base is crazy. It's exploding. Yeah. I mean, even when he joined with the Orioles, I got a lot of his stuff because I collect O's, in general, but I never really went after him and chased him. If I saw something, I was like, oh, I got to have that one. I collect players like Adam Jones over him, or Chris Davis, or some of the other guys. But regardless of that, his fan base, like you said, has exploded recently, and there is a lot of people who are chasing his stuff, driving up the value of it even more. The demand, it's gonna continue to increase the stuff, and I don't think it's a bad investment for some folks.
Well, no, it's interesting to me because when I saw that, of course, he messaged me, and what I did was I bought a whole bunch of Machado stuff when his autos were like $20-$30. Obviously not his rookie stuff, but his other stuff. And I came across, I got a really nice, actually it was a trade I made with another gentleman, and I got his rookie auto PSA 10. And so when I recognized that all the other stuff I had doubled in value, I sold it all. Because, I mean, look, I know we all have our different things with collecting, but one thing I'll always believe in, no matter what it is buy low and sell high. So if I can buy something for $25 and I can sell it for $75, to me that's a win. There are certain cards obviously I have an emotional attachment to, but and I can bring this even back to the conversation we had earlier. How many Manny Machado autos do I need? Like, I don't need 1,000 Manny Machado autos.
Right.
So I'm gonna take my $50 on each card, sell 10 of them, get $500, and then invest it in something else. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
What I was going to say with two things. The first is, did you say this is a really bad time to collect Machado just because? Did you mean because his price has spiked, or because?
No, I meant it's bad. Away? I meant it's bad relative to when you could have started.
Right.
It's bad in terms of the market has gotten to a place where his stuff has almost tripled and it's leveling out.
See, I wasn't asking about the price. I asked the question. I asked the question with really being, is there so much stuff over the last 7 years that super collecting him would be really tough to do? That I wasn't asking about the value. Like, if you
if that's your goal, to get every single one of his cards ever made, then obviously starting, somebody mid-career or even after, early on in their career is a lot harder than, from the very beginning. But to be honest with you, a lot of people that super collect never really do get in from the very beginning. It's not like, the next day they see that one prospect player and they're like, I'm going to super collect that guy, for the rest of. I mean, maybe some Trout people, but that's rare. That doesn't happen all too often. Most people start getting into collecting people because he plays for their team.
Okay, so you think it's more like second or third year in the league, people are like, okay, you know what, I really like this guy. Okay, yes, I don't know. That's why I was asking. I thought it'd be a good topic.
I think so. I mean, I think the odds of that happening are higher than somebody getting in from like prospect to grave, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, dude, super collecting, like, I think Edwin does it right with Ripken. Not only because he's a Hall of Famer and beloved and he played for one team and, it's highly unlikely that, his stuff will dip, but I like that more. Like, I get nervous with mine, dude. Like, if I super collect a player, of any player, I would say it's Gregory Polanco. And even though I think Gregory Polanco is going to be a really good player, and every time I can pick up an autograph, I pick one up. I collect his base cards, his parallels, everything. I try and get as many Gregory Polanco as I can. My fear in super collecting Gregory Polanco is I'm going to invest all this time, effort, energy, and most importantly, money, and it's not going to be worth anything. Like, so to answer the question that you just kind of asked, I think if I'm going to super collect a player, it would be a lot smarter to do a guy after he's really well established, as opposed to doing it early on.
But not everybody's motivated by the monetary value too. Some people just honestly collect because they like that guy. Maybe they went to college with the person's sister, whatever the case may be. I mean, sometimes people lead into the super collecting aspect from a non-monetary standpoint, just for your
sure. But Edwin, it's hard for my brain to handle that.
I know. I get it.
both of what you guys just said, somebody homered. Brad Miller. Both of what you guys said just magnified the point that I made earlier about the Raz world and things like that. Brian, you said, well, if it goes up in value, I'm selling it. And I'm not going to collect the guy unless I think I can make money. And Edwin just said, well, wait a minute. There's a lot of collectors that don't care about the value. And what I'm saying is the hobby has evolved so much that the vast majority are on Brian's side of the table, hence why we've seen the bottom drop out of most low-end stuff. But when people just didn't care about the value, it was just their hobby. That's when the hobby was the strongest. That's when we had the most people in it. That's when there were the most stores. That's when there were the most people selling cards on eBay. That's when there were the most products. That's when the hobby was the best, when it wasn't all monetary driven.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can say, and I know we've kind of talked about this before, is like I feel very strongly that ship has sailed.
Oh, it has. It has. It's gone. Done. Yeah. Forget about it.
Like Edwin, I know you are less pessimistic.
No, I mean, I'm a realist. I mean, I understand where the hobby's at. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like John said, the majority is looking at it from an investment standpoint, and the minority is now just people who are truly collecting because they're that fan. I think that fan collecting standpoint, there's still some underlying tones in even the people who do it from a monetary standpoint, because everybody has their favorites or things that they like, that they're willing to splurge a little bit more on than others. But the overwhelming sense of I'm not going to buy this unless I can make money off of it, is predominant in the hobby. I mean, that's kind of where everybody's going.
Yeah. Well, can we talk about something more fun and talk about the Ripken handprint thing? John, sure. Do you know about these handprints?
He showed it to me when he got it, and honestly, I never saw one, and I think it's awesome.
Can you just tell? Like, I've seen like the YouTube videos of like Andrew Luck doing it and others. Yeah, I think you even sent me the one of Ripken. So what is it, man?
So these are Topps products. It came out in 2012. Topps Archives came out.
Archives.
These handprint cards.
Was it a redemption?
No, I don't think there was actually a redemption.
How did they sell them? I don't think you put that in a pack.
Yeah, I think they sold them through their website, if I'm not mistaken.
Ah, they just sold them straight through the website.
I still, to be honest with you, I don't have all the details on that, but I think that's what they did was sold it through their website or through like a limited release type of standpoint. I don't think they did a redemption for it, but they could have. But from what I can gather, he's the only one in 2012 that they actually did this for. And then in subsequent years, they expanded to different players and different product lines because there's some football ones too. Some football players doing the same thing. But I think it's in 2013 and 2014 that they did those. It's a 8.5 by 11 piece of cardboard, with stuff printed on it, and then he hand printed on it, and then it's an on card basically auto on it. It's not numbered, but supposedly they only released 100 of these, from what they've gathered. So I got 2 out of 100 ever made.
Well, I can't imagine the player is going to love dipping his hand in ink and putting it on cardboard all day. Actually, the thing I wondered about that is how many were ruined in the process. Because, like, if I was doing this with, like, my attention deficit disorder, I'd just be, like, scratching my head and putting my hand on things. I just have this big handful of ink.
Yeah, you can tell the quality variance between card or item is a little bit more because even watching the video of him doing it, he started to kind of get the hang of how to actually do it because it was the first one to do it. Like there's no, it's not like you can sign cards all day long and know how to do that in your sleep, but putting your hand in some ink and then inking it, you're right. There's some tests that they probably did up front, but some of the players actually, believe it or not, like he used a batting glove on his. Some of the players went barehanded. And
that's
there's
interesting.
Like full on fingerprints and everything. It's a full hand slap on the card.
That's nice. Now I know it's an inappropriate question, but for the benefit of our American Idol like audience, what are those things? What can you give me a range?
They don't. To be honest with you don't see them too often as far as what they cost. These cards. I would say probably you'll probably see maybe one every year or give or so show up on eBay. I bought one of these off of eBay and I bought another one in person, believe it or not.
Nice.
From another collector who bought it, and I would say most auctions will sell probably in the $300 to $400 range.
That's not bad.
For those cards at 8.5 by 11. I got it for most of these. I mean, I'm all about the sale and the deal, and I got it for obviously a little bit less than that. Almost half price. So
nice, dude. That's not a bad price for something that we talked earlier about wanting unique items from a card company. That's a pretty damn unique item, man. I really like that a lot.
Yeah, I'm really big into the oversized, the box toppers, the odd size cards, even the minis and stuff like that, the tall boys, I like all that oddball stuff. I mean, but that's about being a super collector. But, I think what you just touched upon was something kind of interesting because it's interesting how the prices of some items can vary drastically. So, to me, this is like a relic almost, because it's a handprint, or you might as well call it like a dual autograph card or whatever you want to call it. But it's an 8.5 by 11. Could you think about, today, if they were to stuff a redemption for one of these into, I don't know, tribute, for instance, and it was like a Trout or Chris Bryant or whoever, handprint on it, the price would be so much higher, I think, for these items than just, a regular autograph card or, a relic card or something along those lines. But when you think about Cal Ripken stuff in Perspection, a couple $100 or even $300 for one of these, in comparison to $450 for like a Ripken relic and autograph or something like that, it seems disproportionate sometimes.
It does. That's why I asked, dude. I didn't say it before you told me, but I thought that thing was going to be $800, $900, $1,000. I really did, just because you never see them.
Right. There's a couple of them. There's some oversized like the Donruss Kings. I think we touched upon this in one topic before, but the Donruss Kings ones, it's 8.5 by 10 jumbo card, and that thing is probably $2,500 alone for that.
What is this you speak of? Pull it
Diamond
out of your vault and show it to me, Edwin. I know you have one.
Unfortunately, I don't have one. I've been watching it on eBay, and I've only seen one show up probably in the last 5 or 6 years. There's one up on eBay now. And I've already been back and forth with the guy before, and he's pretty much made it pretty evident to me he's going to be testing the waters for a period of time, and then he may get serious about letting it go. But I think he's asking like $5,000 for that card, and it's really more like in the 2,500 range. But it's a 92. The Donruss Diamond Kings. You remember the full size card without the border with the portrait of the player? Well,
no, I don't. Is
in
this
the
from
junk
1992?
Yeah, in the junk era, there was the Donruss Diamond Kings, which were
Well, I
like
know what the Donruss Diamond Kings are, but I didn't know
yeah.
they had like this thing.
Well, yeah. So the same picture that's on the base set of card, they made a jumbo version in a limited release. And there's other players out there. There's like Griffey and other folks. They're up on eBay every once in a while, but they're really rare. But what I guess the point I was trying to make was, you look at something like this, $300, $400.
Oh yeah.
That is like at least $2,500, and people are trying to sell them for $5,000.
John, do you know about these giant Diamond King things?
I do. They're impossible to find. I mean, part of it, Edwin, I think, is that the card at this point is 25 years old. How many are out there?
Well, the thing about it is PSA was actually grading them for a period of time and slabbing them in a large case, but they won't do it anymore because they damaged a couple in the process. So there was a couple guys that sent theirs in. I know one of them, and the card came back in a lesser condition than the way it was sent in, mostly because the slab was so big and it was damaged in the slabbing process. So PSA said they were not going to grade those anymore. So actually finding one that's actually graded and slabbed is even more rare than finding a raw one.
Wow.
In a high grade, obviously, like a 10 or something, because people are chasing the registry and there's only one or two on there.
Right, and think about it, Brian. Like those cards, it was another 5 or 6 years till anything was signed. Forget even signed. You know what I'm saying? Let alone unsigned. That was like the first year of an insert. You know what I mean? That was like the first insert.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to veer like too far down the road, but one thing I have noticed is that cards, particularly from the 90s, have kind of made a nice little bump.
What do you guys think about
the rarer stuff? I'm not talking about just crap. I'm talking about like stuff like the Diamond Kings, but like particularly like prisms. Yeah. I didn't even know that was a thing, but apparently it was. I don't know. I was out of the hobby at the time, but when I go on eBay, I see all these different versions of cards, and the 90s are really doing well with that stuff, man. More so, like basketball particularly is insane, but even in baseball, man, some of that stuff is really making a nice little surge. But I just don't know enough about it to really. I'm sure you do.
My theories have always been that it's going to come full circle on a junk era from those collectors that can now get into buying more cards after the fact, and I think it's going to naturally take a surge. Is it going to see the same thing as limited production vintage? Probably not, but there's still. I mean, think about it. I'm in these groups all the time, and I see people out there buying junk era, rookie cards and players that are graded that, they buy them like hotcakes because that's who they collect and, that's the card that they want. And I think it's going to naturally take a surge as that era of collector comes full cycle.
Well, I can ask both of you this question, but for the 90s cards, what are some of the more, like the Diamond King thing that you mentioned? Like, I don't know anything about that, man. That's really cool. Like, what are some of the other types and variations of cards from the 90s?
Donruss Elite.
Donruss Elite.
Yeah, that stuff was killer.
Like, was that more early 2000s stuff, or was that 90s?
90s. 92 Donruss even came with the insert card of 92 Donruss was a Cal Ripken card of 5,000 with an on-card audit.
I think I've seen that before.
Yeah, there's a couple different years, depending on if you get 92 or 93. There's a gold one, and then there's like a green one.
Well, I would say the only ones I really know about are like finest refractors. Like if you have like 93 finest refractors, like that's kind of a big deal.
That's a great one.
Like what else is out there?
Basketball, and baseball too, for that matter. Credentials. EX
What is Credential
2000.
from?
So EX. Do you remember a brand called EX?
I do. Now, guys, you got to remember, I was out of the hobby for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm so interested in this, because I really missed a period of time where, like, I didn't collect from, say, 93 until like 2002 was probably my gap. So that's why I'm kind of asking the question. So EX, what?
Credentials. So EX, they were clear. They were clear cards. I don't know what the product configuration was, like if there was, like, one per case or whatever. But I think they're numbered to like 23 or something, or 24, something really low. And just think about it. I mean, think about all the people that were collecting in the 90s. How many of those were destroyed, thrown out, thought of as just worthless because nobody knew what an insert card was or could have been?
Right.
And now people want them. Like, the super collecting has just gotten. I think I think the super collecting craze is the new craze. Like, for anybody that collects, I think the majority of real collectors are super collectors. Like you. You said you want all the Polanco's you can get. Edwin's a Ripken guy. Anybody that's collecting now, I think they're trying to be a super collector. And for the ones that started years ago, and they started with that 90s stuff, that's why they've gotten so.
That's what I mean, man. I missed that whole period of time, and I'll see these like die-cut shiny cards from like '95, and dude, they're going for a ton of money, and I'm like, man, like if I because you go to flea markets and stuff all the time, and you just see piles of this stuff, and the more educated of a buyer you are, the better opportunity you have to actually snag a treasure out every once in a while. So the treasure hunting aspect of me is kind of what wants to get to know more about these cards and what they go for and stuff.
I mean, it's generally anything that's limited print run or has an auto or game used in it is what the
From
target.
the 90s, though.
Yeah, exactly. Because there wasn't a lot of that stuff. That was before everything was limited print run, on card auto or relic.
Well, the ones I know about are the Upper Deck Reggie Jackson auto, the Upper Deck Mickey Mantle auto, the Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. auto, the 500 Home Run Club. Like I said, Finest Refractors is one. But other than that, I'm just not.
Dude, a lot of the Fleer stuff for basketball, the crazy Fleer insert sets, like that's what drove a lot of basketball. The Upper Deck and the Fleer stuff. Even stuff like Scoring Kings. Like, remember when Fleer Ultra had lots and lots of insert sets?
Yeah.
I mean, they're collected now.
Yeah, it's really interesting, man. I hadn't thought about that, but I'm kind of getting the inclination to go buy some lots off of people that are selling and sift through the junk and just for fun, see if I can come across something, because I was pretty taken aback by what those cards are selling for. The one that I always remember is Jambalaya. Was the one that stands out for me just because it has such a funny name. Yeah. But I remember seeing this like Kobe Bryant Jambalaya, and I was like, yeah, what the hell is that? Yeah, it was like $2,500.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, the beauty of the 90s and stuff is that even being a Ripken super collector is that they made so much stuff, and right. That's the cool thing about it is there is actually a lot of stuff to collect. I mean, even when I'm looking at some of my PSA graded stuff, and I have mine all like sorted by year and card and number, and like the whole catalog system, but I have boxes of 1994. Or like in the 90s, like I have multiple boxes of that person's card from 1 year alone.
Yeah, they made a lot. There's no doubt about it.
That's the cool thing. There's a lot of stuff there to collect, and going back through it, the harder stuff though to really get though is the serial number cards, because they're just not around.
Yeah. Well, this has kind of been. I didn't really keep track of time. I thought Jan Gomes rant was going to go on for a little longer. We didn't even get into Yimi Garcia, but we won't. We won't. We can save that for another.
He's not even in the minors. He's been completely cut from all of baseball except Topps. I can't wait till we see in Topps like a buyback auto product and Yimi is shoved in there.
Yeah.
I broke a Christmas ball during that one break. And I got so aggravated with the gones. I fired it over my shoulder. That was a really expensive Christmas ball, man. That was like a $20 hand-painted one that I got at downtown at Love Park at the Christmas Village in Philadelphia. Because of freaking Yan Gomes. I couldn't take it. If I saw another Yan Gomes Strata autograph, I was going to have a nervous breakdown.
I apologize to Edwin and our listening audience, but I enjoy it so much. You get so spun up. It's just enjoyable. Like I said, I wasn't paying attention at the time. We've gone on for a little bit. This will be our supersized episode. We haven't done one in a while, so thank you guys for getting on, man. I really I don't get to talk about baseball cards in my life. My wife doesn't care. So I try and take it all out on Facebook. Nice actually do it in person. So any parting shots, any live round laugh magazine before we head out for this episode of Sultans.
Allen and Ginter this week. Collect the hair relics. Get all the hair relics you can eat from Topps, Allen and Ginter this week.
What are we talking about? What is a hair relic? What's happening?
That's what they are. The one of ones. They have the DNA relics, hair relics, dinosaur teeth, shark teeth.
Oh, okay. I thought you Allen and Ginter. I should find it. It has all the weird stuff. Like a packet of seeds that you can plant, like a one-of-one seed packet. I'm gonna avoid Allen personally. I've had enough of the circus. Put a 10 on it. I'm done. I mean, I'm gonna pick up the ones I want, but I can't. I used to buy a ton of Allen too. Like Allen and Ginter, man. I'm staring at boxes of them right now. I love them, but they just got too weird for me. Like I know there's something for everyone, but I'm out. All right. So Allen and Ginter. Edwin, anything left in the magazine, sir?
I'm looking forward to TriStar Hidden Treasures. It's coming out here shortly. They got a pretty good lineup. They got 24 karat gold balls this year, so those look pretty sweet.
Is that the one that had the crystal ball thing last year?
There wasn't a crystal ball that I remember, but
that was something else. I remember crystal balls. They weighed like 5 pounds.
Oh no, I've never seen those. But,
John, you know the crystal ball thing I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
What was that in? It was a weird thing.
Yeah, it was something strange, but I do remember it.
That'll probably be like the 90s jambalaya one day.
Yeah.
Does anyone have a crystal ball?
Yeah.
Keep your eye out too. I know what is that? That Onyx. I know that you probably won't buy any, but the Onyx, the batting gloves are coming out too, and I know McCutcheon's in that product, so it'll be just a couple days before some of those start hitting eBay.
Nice. Well, guys, I really appreciate it. I don't have too much left in the tank. I do want to say I really enjoyed it. John, I love watching you break, man. Edwin, it's good to see you guys. Everyone, thanks for joining us. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube. I don't think we have a Periscope. I don't even know what that is, but we should get one. So, all right, guys, I appreciate it. Take it easy. See you later.